And now it is time for yet another exciting, activity or session, and that is the address of our chief guest. First, I would like to welcome our today's chief guest, Mr. Venkatesh Sarvasiddhi, on the stage, and then I will give his introduction also. Please welcome our chief guest for the day on the stage. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Please have a seat. So, I am very honored to introduce Mr. Venkatesh Sarvasiddhi. He is the Managing Director of Springer Nature India Limited. He is leading business operations, advocacy, and strengthening the open science and research ecosystem in India. Previously, he served as head of NSDC, National Skills Development Corporation, looking after digital skills, innovation, industry partnerships, and CSR. Earlier, he was also India Director for Innovation at Deloitte, where he led Deloitte Skill Academy. He also spent more than a decade at Microsoft in key learning roles spanning developer ecosystem, academic programs, and innovation centers. He holds degree from Dayal Bagh Education Institute, BITS Pilani, IIM Kolkata, Kellogg School of Management, and is achieving Gurukul Fellow for King's College London. He has been featured as a CNBC Young Turk in 2017 and one of the youngest AVPs in corporate India by Business India. His accolades include the World Education Award, Yuva Unstoppable Award, E-Governance Award, and the Young Parliamentarian Award. Please put your hands together to welcome our chief guest today, Mr. Venkatesh Sarvasiddhi. And I will request our chief guest to address the gathering of HR professionals and industry leaders. Please, sir.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Good morning. I always feel extremely happy and privileged to come to my favorite city, Ahmedabad. There's so many memories associated with this beautiful city. I think I love the food more than anything else. If I'm in Ahmedabad, I being a pure vegetarian, for me, this like heaven. Being here, this beautiful city is a place which has shaped not only India, but the world. There are many things to relate to Ahmedabad as HR professionals, as business experts, as economies grew. I think before I begin, I think it's a great opportunity for me to remember and also realize the importance of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who, in my opinion, is one of the one individual who understood management than nobody else, who understood science better than anybody else, who understood space better than anybody else. I think he has dedicated his life in building this nation. I think we should, and this institution is in fact in 1956 was founded by him, which is an excellence institution. And remember, in those times, India just got the freedom, and setting up an Ahmedabad Management Association to make sure the management education is developed in this country. This becomes, I would say, this is even founded before I am Ahmedabad. And so this becomes a kind of where you're sitting, all of you, whether you're a student, researcher, faculty, industrialist, or a businessman, or working with organizations, you're sitting in that institution, a prestige, a pride, where management started in India. I would say a big round of applause, and I would request all of you for a standing ovation to remember that kind of a person. I think his contribution to science, technology, as a physicist, as an ISRO, to textile groups. In fact, there is a center which he opened long time back. I think superb. I think he's one of the stalwarts who has shaped. There are many people, of course, including our Honorable Prime Minister, coming from the state, who is now shaping and leading this country and setting a benchmark for the worldwide ecosystem. And also, I will also remember one more personality who has actually made India extremely proud, also known as the father of White Revolution, Dr. Verghese Kurian. So he's the one who shaped Anand, and if you look into Amul, Amul is a beautiful example. India was actually importing milk many years, and today is India the world's largest milk producer. You know, I think that's why I love the state. I love a lot of people here, interactions with especially this city and people here is always a great opportunity for me to learn more as an individual. There's so much learning. I think one of the core things today, I would certainly talk about the topic which is future trends HR. I really loved the session by Stefan, where he touched upon interesting aspects in his book, and he left where technology, how important is technology, and employee-centric organizations are important, and that mindset. Probably I will add a little bit more when I start my presentation, but I think the important thing for us as individuals is learning should never stop. I always feel privileged to learn from anyone, whether he's highly educated, he's never been to school, because he has experience, he knows certain things better than us. In this room also there are many people who can teach me many things. I'm not here to teach you many things, but I can learn many things. When I interact with the people, that's what I look out for. And that's where the beauty of, the moment you think you're learning, you learned everything, the learning really stops. And the beauty is how much you learn, what areas you learn, need not be dependent in one, but in different areas of life. I think the biggest learning I would have got an individual is from my grandmother, who maybe gone to maybe class 5th or 6th, and after that she never went to school, but there's so much of learning and wisdom I would have acquired, better than Kellogg's or an IIM Calcutta, where I've gone, So I think that's mindset is extremely important to understand and be a learner always. That's one thing. To start with, I have looked into different organizations. I started my careers and spent a lot of time in the tech world, whether it's Microsoft for a decade or HCL or Polaris, Birla's, or then Deloitte and NSDC and many other organizations. Each organization has their own styles. I got exposed to a beautiful technology, automated world in Microsoft, and an extremely employee-centric organization. Vineet Nair, one of the CEOs of HCL Technologies, he was my mentor. He's the one who recruited me at HCL that time. And I'm talking about 2006 and 7, when the world was worried about customers and everything. Vineet actually come out with very interesting concept called employee first. And that's one of the things I would always look up to. And if you find his book sometime, Employee First, I think it should be on Amazon. Just read that. It's a very nice book for all the HR practitioners here. How many of you work in organizations in HR roles here? Oh, lovely. Oh. And how many of you are students in colleges and pursuing their bachelor's, master's, or okay, fantastic. And how many of you are startup founders? Few, okay, interesting. And how many of you are HR heads of the organizations? Excellent. That's, I think, it's a beautiful ecosystem. So, if I look into a few dimensions and aspects, I think you all come from the HR field, you know what's happening across the world. There's a huge transformation in HR in the last 4-5 years, especially post-COVID. And second is also the generations which are leading the gap. Then it's a Gen Alpha, Beta. There's, I think, a Beta when people are born here. And practices have started changing. HR is no more confined to manage one single office. People are in hybrid working locations and many things. And technology is one of the key things that's actually shaping. I would love to give you a little bit insights on tech, and also the importance of tech along with your thinking process in transformation, and then also touch upon certain things from an employee perspective, what are important. So if you look into this particular slide, it talks about technology advancements, changing workforce dynamics, and employee well-being. I prefer taking the mic and running around rather than lecturing from here. It becomes difficult. So as the technology is advancing and you have many tools and technologies and softwares, and you run a lot of these HRM tools and HCM tools, certainly changing workforce dynamics becomes the second important thing. As I said, the dynamics are changing, workspaces are changing. No more you're constrained to one location. You have people across multiple locations, and now it's an opportunity for not just individuals to operate from the same office, but they are also prefer to to operate from their own hybrid locations. The third important thing when Stefan touched upon is the employee well-being focus. You know, how actively you're engaging on the well-being of the employees because of different work locations or different technology changes which are happening, empowering them, making sure they're successful. They don't feel threatened, but at the same time, they feel more empowered. I think these are the three core trends I would see if I look into the ecosystem. I work with an organization called Springer Nature. How many of you know Springer Nature? No? Very few, okay. How many of you know Macmillan? Macmillan books, yeah. So Macmillan belongs to Springer Nature. Springer Nature is the parent company. It has 16, 17 companies under it, you know. And most of those brands are iconic brands worldwide. So Springer Nature has a history of 180 years. And we are the world's largest scientific research publication house in the world, you know, not just in India. So if you look into Springer Nature publications, Nature, how many of you would have heard about Nature? A lot of people dream as a researcher or a scientist is to get one paper in Nature in their entire life, because most of the people who publish in Nature are Nobel laureates. We also have, let's say, some examples to give out is Albert Einstein published his entire work on theory of relativity with Springer Nature. Dunlop, you know, the inventor of the rubber, he also published his work. A lot of people, if you look into Sir C.V. Raman, he's been our author, and he published a lot of his work with us. So in the last 180 years, if I look back into how Springer Nature evolved, because existence of a company for 180 years is not an easy thing. It has seen World War I, World War II, maybe COVID, maybe many other drastic things which have happened across the world. Since Springer Nature is a global company, we operate in more than 100 plus countries. You know, it's very important as an organization to look at how do we stay relevant, sustain, and enhance the experience, not only of customer, but also by employees, because the world's topmost scientists, researchers, editorial people work with us, because we are the compilers of information. We are actually in the process of helping, you know, the scientists and their discoveries reach the common man, reach the researchers, reach the ecosystems, and drive science and development across the world ecosystem. So I'll share with you some of the practices, what we do as I go into the slides. But as an example, this particular slides excite me because it's like the important key slide in my presentation, which talks about AI and automation in HR. You know, how many of you are using AI and automated tools in your HR processes today? Few, okay. So as you go forward, this number, if I ask you after 5 years, would be much higher than what it is today, because AI is actually helping in many things, whether it's recruitment, employee engagement, workforce analytics, or talking about productivity in making your decisions happen. You know, smart ways of recruiting, smart ways of handling information, doing data analytics. I think AI is playing a major important role. Then the second model I talked about, especially after COVID, is the hybrid and flexible work models. So individuals started with this because there was no other option, and everybody has to contribute, and they can't sit at home, so these models have started. But today, in fact, at Springer Nature, we have a 2-day working policy of operating from home, and the rest of the 3 days, until you are required and you have certain meetings, you're more than welcome, but we give that flexibility for people to operate from their home or residence or anywhere, you know, where they want to work, because the technology and automation helps you set those metrics and key measurables, and you work around that, and that's precisely the model which started as an accidental model with COVID, but a lot of organizations do follow that globally. But it's not necessary that every organization has to follow, depends on the nature of your work. Upskilling and reskilling, you know, how many of you, this is a process of your upskilling and reskilling, this particular forum or what AMA is organizing. I think this is a continuously improvement area for a lot of people, because upskilling and reskilling will remain very active, and I somehow see many of the people beyond the age group of 40, you know, are not adaptable to reskill themselves. You know, that's again a challenge that can happen over time, because the generation gaps are so much. The usage of technology is so high, especially in the lower generations because of the technological advancements. Upskilling and reskilling and relearning something is extremely important. I think if we show that resistance, probably over a time you will not be able to cope up with the changes that are happening around. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, this is an area where Springer Nature focuses a lot, giving an ecosystem absolutely good. And when I say diversity, it's not just about women, but also diversity across races, diversity across regions, diversity across different aspects and dimensions. And DEI is now a very important thing as part of an organization's model. Mental health and well-being, as individuals go through a lot of tough times, whether you're in a processes, in a factory, whether you're in a system which is surrounded by people management, or you're managing functions or globally leading, organizations invest and should invest in this particular aspect so that people feel extremely empowered. Then the employee experience platforms. There's a lot of rise and demand in integrated platforms that actually support personalized career paths, because you can't generalize everyone to do the same thing. So learning becomes your customized opportunity, and that's where technology helps a lot. People analytics, I also have some slides to show on people analytics, which really means measuring each one differently and making sure what they are good at and how do we drive their career path is important. And focus on purpose and meaningful work. And last but not the least, sustainability and corporate responsibility. Sustainability in terms of running your offices, sustainability in terms of building your infrastructures, or sustainability in terms of making sure you contribute back to the planet in whatever ways and means. For example, at Springer Nature, one interesting thing we do is we make sure how do we optimize our travel within the country or outside the country to save the carbon footprints, because when we travel, most of us use these flights and all, which meaningful sometimes if it is required from a business perspective, but how many times you can actually do it virtually so that you can actually give it back to the society. So each one of us are calculated in terms of how many flights you take and how you optimize, and there's a measurement that goes. That's a beautiful way to look into it, especially if you look into India. India is a very, very difficult stage of weather changes, climatic, heat waves, and a lot of things happening. I think that's another focus which organizations certainly can bring in. Learning, I think, customized paths, I touched about it, peer learning opportunities, emphasis on reskilling. I think reskilling, learning new things and making sure you are updated is extremely important for anyone at any stage of life. AI and automation, many solutions are available. In fact, there are startups which are based out of Ahmedabad who are doing great stuff in this space, especially giving an opportunity for learners, giving an opportunity for individuals, for enhanced recruitment. How many of you are recruiters in this room? You may be using that's a big number. You may be using a lot of these AI bots and a lot of these websites which actually used to be very slow and not dynamic today have AI integrations which make it much more easier for you to filter out candidates. Then of course, performance analytics, as I said, how do you measure the performance of individuals? What roles are they good at? How do you actually drive them? It's very, very important. AI today allows you to do all of this. Of course, it comes with a cost, but there are many mid-sized and small AI companies and bots available. As we go forward, the cost will actually not be a major indicator for you to take a decision, because a lot of things will be available, some of them free of cost, and some of those tools which come with a cost which you can afford. Remote working locations, I talked about it. This is becoming the reality of life. It's not COVID, but people wanted that movement to happen, and I think COVID provided that opportunity to look at working from anywhere kind of a model. I would say one more step, maybe 10 years down the line, if you ask an individual where do they work, they will not say that I work with one company. Are we open to that change? I really don't know what's your mindset, but the generations which are coming forward, they don't want to be associated with one. There could be a freelancer who doing X number of jobs, maybe he's working with 2-3 companies, but he has clear NDAs signed with each one of them, and he has a clear workloads and outcomes which are defined, and is using technology to connect and work with different countries at any point in time. So he may be, you just imagine a world like that. That means when you ask yourself what you do, then you say, I work as a freelancer, but I do X, Y, Z jobs in these companies engaged for a term, where people, earlier days when I look back into my dad and all who are, worked with the central government, they lived all their life working with that department or company or used to retire. Today, I would have changed 5-6 jobs in the last couple of years. And similarly, if you look back and look forward into the next 10 years, 20 years, individuals may not work with one company at one point in time. And if that change happens, of course, whether we like it or dislike it, change can happen and change is happening. If you look into a lot of freelancers and the freelancer ecosystems across the world, it's hugely emerging in the United States, and that's where one individual works with different startups because they give them the leverage to operate as a freelancer and contribute. Maybe the large organizations will also open up such models. It's just a time and a mindset which is required for that. Employee well-being, I don't want to touch much upon it in interest of time. Mental health initiatives, holistic benefits, and work-life integration. How do you actually create a work-life balance? How do you create some situations so that employees feel safe at any situation, whether it's benefits in terms of insurances, benefits in terms of giving them opportunities. There are very interesting, HR models which are tested by worldwide to create that kind of an experience for employees. As Stefan said, employee-first organizations have a better opportunity to deliver more results over a time rather than just being customer-centric. Data analytics, this is one of my favorite areas if I look into how technology is changing. And imagine, technology is playing a major role, even in the skill sets what you acquire and help you navigate. Imagine you land up in a place like New York without Google Maps. You can't travel from one place to the other. You need a driver. But today you go rent a car, you open the Google Maps, and it helps you. So if you just look into this example, what it is doing is they're using co-pilots. How many of you use co-pilot here? Yeah? So there are many co-pilot models which are available, which helps you take the experience, map it with the technology, makes you easily drive through with the help of those maps or whatever tools in the example I gave you. Similarly, earlier you used to have to wait for 30, 40 years of experience of an individual, and replacement of those resources is not easy. Today, co-pilots, going forward 5 years, 10 years down the line, in fact, Google today operates with 25% less workforce because they have automated their systems. So there are systems, automated tools which are writing software. So that's how the advancement is happening. But will that create a kind of a threat to the structure of human resources and humans who are available to do that? I don't think so. The only difference is those departments, those individuals are better equipped with technology. So with technology advancements, you also have to look at the positive side of it. So it gives you an opportunity to acquire those skills much faster, repeat those processes using the co-pilots of the world. And there are many co-pilot models which are available. And that will help you and enhance your abilities to do better things. But the human touch and experience of a HR will always remain and will be there forever, because they know the emotional quotient of running an organization. You can't define a value to it. The expertise you have developed is not just about using processes, but also how to plan those processes, how to understand humans and the mindset and what they require, and their expertise in doing those things very well. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. This morning, I missed my breakfast at Hayat because I keep getting everywhere. But I went to a very small place called Swad. I told my driver to take me to a place which can offer me best poha. I will never get the best poha in any of the 5-star hotels. Reason being, they do many things, and all of them are automated. But if you just go to a poha shop in Swad, you need not eat anything, just eat that, because they have developed those experiences and competencies which tools can never replicate. This is the finest example I believe everybody will remember. So that's where the role of HR is, right? So the only thing is, if you want to offer the similar process, so the experience, competency, understanding that mindset, understanding that region, and that's where the role of HR becomes much more important, right? So with this, I just want to touch upon DEI. It's becoming a talked upon topic. People talk about it too much sometimes. But the importance is, are we leveraging technology? Are we leveraging our people? Are we leveraging our inclusive behavior to grow as an organization, to grow as a talent pool, because the aspects of DE are not just limited to men and women. They spread across multiple domains, multiple systems and ecosystems, whether it could be even in your performance measurements. Are you following the practices of equity, inclusion, whether you are hiring people, whether you're running a process. I think diversity, equity, and inclusion gives opportunity for all in a very standardized way. If I look into it, this will be one of your strongest pillar as you build your organizations. With this, thank you so much, and it's lovely. Thanks to everyone. And special thanks to Deepak. He was, motivating me because I was running with other schedules, but he said you should come here and address. Thanks, Deepak, for allowing me, and thank you everyone for being here at the lovely center. Thank you.
Please have a seat. Thank you very much, Mr. Venkatesh, for a very inspirational and motivating address. Also, you gave wonderful insights. You show the exciting world lying ahead for HR professionals. We thank you from the bottom of our heart. And I request immediate past president of AMA, Mr. DVS Radia, to please present a memento to our chief guest. Please, sir. I request all the friends present over here to give a thunderous round of applause for our chief guest.